You'll have some winemakers who are rigorous and say, okay, every 4 months I've got a rack of wine. You have others that say, if it doesn't smell, I'm fine with that. It's just like with anything, you've got some people who kind of follow a formula, and others that just kind of pull it out of their back and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm probably a little bit of both. I definitely think that, you know, it's winemaking. There's a definite science. There's a definite kind of process that you should follow, but you kind of really let the wine tell you what they need. Historically, I've always done 4 barrels of Syrah. Most years I only have 1 barrel of new oak. This year I decided to use 2 just because when I was going out sampling in the vineyards, I just felt that it was lacking something. It was just a little bit leaner, and I wanted it to have a little bit more sort of oomph and gusto to it. So I decided, okay, you know, this year I'm going to do 2 barrels. Pinot is a lot more delicate, a little bit more feminine, so you probably don't want to give it as much air. Pinot we don't rack at all. It's basically comes from the very beginning. It'll get pressed into a barrel, and we'll just leave it until March, April whenever we bottle it, and that'll be the first racking. I will periodically go through and taste the barrels just to make sure that everything is sort of going as to plan.
Yeah.
Wines can kind of tell you a lot in their nose. So what we have here is our 2012 Sonoma Coast Syrah for Campesino Cellars. It comes from the San Giacomo family in the Petaluma Gap region of the Sonoma Coast. And what makes the Petaluma Gap pretty unique and different is that it basically is sort of the kind of coming together point of 2 gaps, 2 wind gaps, 2 cooling gaps along the Pacific coast. The main and sort of the biggest gap along the coast is the Golden Gate Bridge. So you get the cooling effect, the fog that comes in from there, and then about 2 hours north in Bodega Bay, there's another gap. It's called the Petaluma Gap. So basically, they converge on this little vineyard, and essentially what happens is the cooling kind of allows the acidity levels to kind of be maintained, but it warms up enough during the day so that you're able to get the right bright kind of fruits that people want in their wines. So it's a really nice allowing for balance. What happens often in warmer climates is you just get sort of wines that become imbalanced, and so that's what we really enjoy about that particular location. Anytime you taste wines, usually out of barrel, they tend to have a little bit more sweetness, especially newer oak. Yeah. The new oak is what imparts that sort of sweetness to the wine. And so that's where you kind of become, like I said, using your spice racks in the sense that you're trying to really kind of put together, okay, I've got 2 sort of new oak and 1 that's not very new. That's going to kind of come together and sort of a complete wine 18 months down the road.